afternoon. Welcome to our show. I'm your host, Melissa Ridgen. We have a great show for you today with some of your favorite Indigenous paranormal investigators. The Other Side just premiered its 6th season last Wednesday right here on APTN. And some of you may have also watched their live-streamed Halloween investigation right here in the APTN headquarters in downtown Winnipeg. Today we are putting The Other Side and the APTN ghost in focus. Hopefully we answer some of the questions that are on your mind about the show, about the people who bring you these investigations, including what has stuck with them from some of these encounters, what tools do they use, what are all those devices? We learn all about that. Let's get right into it with a look at the season premiere from last week.
This is a very special place. There's been a lot of offerings over the years.
Taking things from grave sites, I'm a little bit weary of that and what we might run into.
You're going to see an orb and it's going to manifest itself like right about this area. I would be a little disturbed if someone disturbed my grave.
I did feel something in that space.
I like to refer to them as little tricksters. We can play hide and seek. Are you there?
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited to be here because it's not every day that we get to investigate a site that has 3,000-plus-year-old artifacts. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. It's a very special honor.
Thank you very much for being here in METEPENAGIAG, the village of 30 centuries, unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. Our people have always lived here.
We often see you on the TV and just wondering maybe come around someday.
Things are done with honor around here. So I'm really interested in the power of certain objects or the place itself for spiritual energy.
I understand that they do have quite a few different types of phenomena that the staff has experienced. Everything from the sound of moccasins across the floor to actual captures of orbs on video.
There's 2 burial sites that are of huge importance to the people here. The Oxbow site and Augustine Mound. There are accounts, oral history, that the people knew where the mound was. Joe Augustine, however, was the first to find the archaeological evidence and then take it to archaeologists in the cities around here. Much of his family is still carrying on the work.
Howard Augustine. He was telling me about these mounds, and the relics and the stuff that they found in there are now housed in this building here. After he found the artifacts there, he recognized it as a very special place.
Tom Charles, of course, is taking some time off to take care of his health. He's not filming currently for season 7. But when they were here, the crew last week, we had a chance to sit down with the stars of this show, intuitive Jeff Richards, paranormal investigator ERIN GOODPIPE, and filling in this season for Tom Charles is his dear friend, Elder Alan Adam. Here's that interview. I'm so happy to have you back. This has been, what, 2 years? This is
2 years.
You were here?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, what are you most looking forward to about this shoot here at APTN? Because last time you were here, we should qualify for people at home, you and Tom Charles were here a couple of years ago. And at the end of our interview, I had said, you guys should come back here sometime. There's lots of people who have stories about stuff that's happened here. And Tom said, do you remember this?
I do.
Yeah. Like
he was looking at stuff back up in the corners and around
Tom
the room.
was watching as we were doing the whole interview,
Yeah.
and there was something up there watching the whole thing. So this is the first time you've been back here since then. What are you most looking forward to about this investigation?
Well, I think that for me, within the time of this program, I've sort of been in and out of the APTN building a couple of times, and there's always rumblings. I've heard rumblings for years, even before you had mentioned it, of the activity that's happening here. So I'm curious to get in here and actually delve into some of that, potential history, and maybe give you guys some answers. That's my hope, that we can actually answer the question as to who it is that is maybe occupying the halls.
Or if there's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered that. Alan, you are taking over for Tom Charles, who's taking some time to look after his health. He'd actually recommended you for this job. So can you share with our audience a little bit about, what you bring to these investigations, your perspective on the spirit world?
Sure, I bring in the perspective of a spiritual elder or a spiritual guide. And that's someone who basically sits on the outside, watches, takes care of things, making sure that things spiritually are, taken care of and connected properly, and making sure that, as elders always caution us, spiritual elders are always telling us to really be careful when we do these types of things, that we make sure that when we do encourage the spirits to come in and help us, to talk to us, that we do it in the best way that we can. Jeff and Erin do that really well, and that's what we do, that's what I do. And Tom has been a good friend of mine for almost all of my life.
Yeah.
So he's known me. He knows me as a brother, probably a little brother, and he has done a lot of things with me, like going out in the land fishing, setting nets under the ice. We've done a lot of things together in that way, and I really admire Tom for the work that he does when people go missing. He has that gift to find people when they are missing, that sometimes even though the stories might not end up well, he's still able to find them so that there's closure for the family. And some of the stories that he's told me about some of the incidents and the things that he's gone through were really, really interesting. And I'm just thankful that Tom, he looked up to me as somebody that could not replace Tom, but somebody that could just basically come in and do the things that I was able to do with Erin and Jeff this past, like the past season that we did the recordings for season 7.
Yeah.
And it's just basically just walking down the street one day and said, Alan, come on, help us, come on in. And that's how it was with me.
Just
that's
like
how
that.
It was with me. Just like
and
that.
You were
I was just walking by in the street there, and they said, "Come on in, Alan. We need you to help us." And
how are you liking it?
Well, it's interesting. It's really different when you do this type of thing. It's a docu-series, yes, but you have to take it seriously. You can't just walk into it thinking, that type of stuff. It is a very serious thing, and I'm really glad that I have 2 young people like Jeff and Erin who are here to lead sort of the way for other young people. And all I do is sit in the background and I help out that way. Well, I don't just do that, but that's what I do.
He didn't know.
And of course, like we do the things like the smudges and the prayers and stuff like that. And like I said, I take this serious.
Yeah.
And before I started, I made sure that I did a pipe ceremony. And then I did sweat lodge ceremony, 2 of them. And then another pipe ceremony. We did that, and Erin was part of 2 of them. And, like Jeff is invited to come and partake as well. 2 people within the group are invited to partake as well. So like before we do an investigation, Jeff and Erin and whoever's there, the guests, we do the smudges, making sure the prayers and all that other stuff is all done ahead of time. And if it was an intense one, we do a pre-smudge too, and prayer. So quite intense, quite involved in that way. That's what I help out with.
For your protection before you even get going.
Well, protection, and that's very important, because this is an important thing. And I like the way Jeff introduces at the beginning, inviting the spirits to come in, and Erin does the same thing. She does it in her language. It's really, really neat how it happens. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't.
Erin, you're relatively new to the show, but you are not new to this, having this, the intuitive, the empath vibe. Can you tell us, how old were you when you first realized that you had a different relationship with the other side?
I think it really began with me and my involvement with ceremony, and I was just really privileged as a young person to be adopted by a number of elders. So I was really exposed at a young age to ceremony, and as Alan knows, as Jeff knows, our ceremonies are all contingent on the fact that we believe in a spirit world. We believe that there's inherent spiritual value in everything, right? So I think I started to build on those gifts and really be aware of them just through ceremony when I was young. I can't really say that there was a specific age, but I know as a young person I was really, really given the chance just to, spiritually build myself. We speak to spirits in some of our ceremonies, and those are specific things that we do, and there's specific commitments that we have. So you're always building that, what we call intuitive gifting, but some people might call it spiritual gifting, but we're always doing that in ceremony. It's probably one of the most important things as Indigenous people. So, coming along with the show really was aligning with already what I was doing, and it was such an amazing opportunity to really speak to spirit in a really concrete way. I mean, that is what is really unique about this program, this family here with the other side, is that we go in, we have ceremony, we do things with a lot of respect, and then we get this like really solid, tangible evidence, and that is what was really new for me, was to have spirit right here speaking to us and saying concrete things. That was just unbelievable for me.
Well, and some of the equipment that you use, you don't get into it necessarily every show what it is, but what are some of you've been doing this forever, you've got your kind of little toolbox of what's, let's give us kind of a quick rundown of what's used for what instance and how it works.
Well, I think it really depends on the type of manifestation that's reported in a location. Some spirits seem to be more adept at using some devices over others. So for example, occasionally we're able to capture voices on something called a spirit box, which basically goes through white noise radio frequency and gives the spirit sort of a palette almost that they can speak through, which we've heard some audible things come through there. We use something called an IR camera, so infrared cameras. That's when you see sort of that creepy green kind of look to the show. That camera technology allows for us to sometimes capture light anomalies that we can't see with the naked eye, so we use that. We've got our K2 meters that we use, which measure electromagnetic frequency. Our Ovilus is one that takes environmental readings and kind of transfers them into words, so the spirit can manipulate the environment and communicate through that device as well. So a variety of devices. It's referred to as instrumental trans communication. So anytime we're using a device that is not meant for ghost hunting to speak with spirits, that's what we're doing there.
So I had mentioned when you were here last time, Tom had said that he felt somebody was here as well. Do you guys get a feeling when you've come in the building?
Well, for me, I used to be a board member with APTN. And I sat on the board for 8 years, so we had many board meetings here in the building. And each time I went to the bathroom upstairs, there was always a presence, a feeling of course, if it's a male's bathroom, hopefully it's a male presence, right?
You never know, they can go wherever they want.
But for this one here, I felt that it was a male presence. And, we use equipment and things like that, but beyond equipment, we use our intuition and our feelings. That's how we feel as well too. And no matter where you go, I learned a lot from these two young people here that are with me, because they are younger than me, so I can say that, right? It's okay.
You all look the same age. Come on.
But we use our intuition, and then intuition usually doesn't lie. And sometimes we can see them. Sometimes we can see spirits, but not often. It's rare, and usually when it does happen, it's a good thing. But most of us will always get scared and stuff like that. But at first, when I first got on first day, I was kind of scared, but then I was called up to help, and after that, it kind of went away. But you always have that little kind of inkling.
You guys have a good team, where I think it kind of, you would feel a sense of protection almost in the strengths that you all have together as a team.
Absolutely. I think the three of us, I think we have such a great intuitive connection. I think you have to have that trust, and I know especially Jeff and I, when we go into investigations, it's like I don't even know how to describe that, but we have this connection. It's like I feel what Jeff feels at times. I know, when it's time to intervene and when it's not. I don't know what that experience is called. Maybe Jeff could talk about that. But
I mean, I think we all have an intuitive link. I mean, even beyond us as a cast, our crew. Daryl Kessler, who's our director of photography, has been with our team as long as I have, since day one. And there's a certain level of intuitive connection that we even have with him, I think, as far as, we know when someone's in trouble. ERIN knows if the situation is getting dire to the point where she needs to step in or she needs to call in Alan. I know if ERIN is communicating with something that maybe isn't right for her to be communicating with for whatever reason, if it's a deeply personal connection or, so we can feel those things certainly when we work as a team, but even beyond it into our crew as well.
Well, and I think everybody would want to know, has there been something that you've encountered that has left you shaken or scared,
Well, for me, the first day on the job, we were in a location just southern Manitoba, a former place where TB people went in the early 1900s.
Oh, the sanatoriums.
Yeah, one of the sanatoriums there. Yeah, it was interesting, but people have to watch.
Is this in season 6?
No, 7.
This is 7. Oh, so this is, because we're just airing season 7 right now, so you're making people really wait then.
Well, it was quite
2021.
It was quite interesting, and the first time on the job, and then to be thrown to, could I say it? The wolves? Or the wolf, right?
The wolf.
Yeah, the wolf, to be thrown to the wolf, like right off the bat. At first I thought, oh, no, maybe not. But one thing you can't have is self-doubt. You can't have self-doubt, because that's, as soon as one of us has self-doubt, our connection doesn't work anymore.
That's interesting.
Because whenever we connect, I can almost say what Jeff's going to say. I can almost say what ERIN's going to do next, and I can almost say, okay, Jeff's going to call me now on the walkie-talkie. He wants an update. He wants to know what's going on. So that's what I do back there. I connect to them that way, not electronically, but spiritually.
ERIN, has anything terrified you?
Oh, terrified's a really huge word, but as viewers know, and as the three of us know, there is such a thing as spirits that occasionally follow or latch themselves on, and there is a spirit that follows the show, and even talking about it sort of gives me the chills a little bit. Sort of talking about even might potentially have the power to summon things, right? So I'm aware of that, but there is this spirit that follows the show, and coming in contact with that spirit, it's a powerful spirit. It's absolutely powerful, and I think it oftentimes will test people, especially new people, and we've seen that in season 6, and we've seen that in season 7, and probably also in the previous seasons prior to these seasons. But I think it was really startling for me when I was getting tested, and there were instances in season 6 where this spirit was spelling the names of people who are close to me who have passed on. And I remember having this experience where I can feel it. You can just totally feel it within your gut. And I was sort of having this conversation, what is this? Is this actually my relative, or is this something else? And so that was really troubling for me. And so I waited a few investigations where this happened a few times, and then I knew this is not my relative. This is that spirit, and it's either messing with me or testing me. I don't have the answers to that question, but that is really startling when there's nobody else on the team who knows the names of so-and-so or knows this information, and you have a spirit talking to you. I mean, that is absolutely startling. There's no way this could have been scripted or planned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about you guys start out with a landing ceremony at every investigation. Can you tell us just kind of?
I think our whole mandate with the show is always to approach things from a very respectful place, whether we're dealing with spirit or with our living people that we're dealing with, and certainly embracing the particular regions that we're in, who may have different customs and be governed by different treaties and different tribes and different ordinances. We do a landing ceremony at the beginning of every investigation as soon as we arrive, and Alan leads us beautifully with that, and ERIN as well. So they could probably speak to the gravity of that and how important it is. But I know for myself, it's very important that we have that respect carry throughout, not just for spirit, but for the ground that we're walking on as well.
How do you guys make sure you don't take anything home, follow you Or would you notice? Like, would you feel if it was coming with you, or do you do something that makes sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, that's why, you know, like the landing ceremony, you know, those types of things, we do prayers usually. The elders usually help us in that way. And sometimes the elders will say, to make sure you don't take anything home with you, here's a bit of smudge that I'm going to smudge you with. Sometimes they'll help us in that way. And then that's what we do to ourselves as well, too. Usually if we have an intense ceremony, or not ceremony, an intense investigation. Yeah. And like the first one, we did a prayer together, and then I smudged everyone, especially, you know, the two young people here, myself, we all smudged. And of course the camera crew, the sound man, the producers, everyone is smudged, even usually our guests as well. So we make sure that in that way, anything or anyone uninvited, that they don't follow us around. So we're always careful, and when they do closing, after an investigation, Jeff usually says, you know, we're inviting you to leave now and stuff like that, and ERIN adds as well. So that's what we do all the time.
And we all have individual things that we carry with us that we look at as protective, whether they're, you know, totems and items, or, you know, for me, part of what I have as protection is the ink, the tattoos that I wear and that I carry. I look at that as protective, and I know ERIN has different things that she carries as well.
Totally. I always carry, like I have a little medicine bag, and there's just little items in there that are connected to the land or connected to my ancestors that really ground me spiritually and who I am and my own identity. And, you know, I think these two said it really nice. I think that's why we have these ceremonies, is really grounding ourselves in the land that we are, the spirit of the land, for the protection of the elements and the spirits that are here, for the ancestors to sort of intercede in our behalf or speak with us. But they're absolutely necessary, because I know that what we're doing is, in a sense, a ceremony when we do these investigations. Right. We are opening doors to the spirit realm, and it's invisible to the naked eye, but we are opening those doors, and so we have to be careful when we go through them and we come back in. And our people know that. That's why we have ceremonies. That's why we have medicines. We're very, very careful about that. So I think, you know, if we were to just talk about, I mean, the danger of spirits following us. I mean, we have experienced that. I mean, I have talked about that one spirit that does follow us, and we don't have all of the answers. So it is sort of a dangerous realm when we open that door. But I think if we speak to the spirits in a good way, with good intentions, pure intentions.
This is why people love the show. This is exactly why.
Yeah.
From all of, you guys have it sewn right up. Well, I'm thankful that you guys could take time to chat with us here, and we look forward to what you discover in your investigation here at APTN. And of course, Season 6 is airing on APTN right now, and Season 7 looks like it's going to be pretty amazing as well.
Yeah, and I just want to thank all the people out there as well, too, the workers, the people who are working on the hospitals, and all of these places that are doing a good job with, you know, this illness that's upon us right now. It's a pretty bad spirit. And we just want to say thanks to all those good people that are doing all the good work out there, our medicine people as well. Yeah. All of them. Merci. Masicho.
Merci. We will have a sneak peek into that investigation here at the APTN headquarters later on the show. You will not want to miss what happened. But first, we need to take a break. When we come back, what makes this hit show tick? How did they decide where they're going to go to investigate? That's coming up. And what's in store for Season 7, which is already under production. We have all of that with director Saxon DeCoke and Candy Fox. Stay with us.
Gina McGill?
What's
Toby, is it normal for there to be this much building noise?
Yeah, like...
Not really. But we'll hear it when the spirit is around.
Welcome back. So, of course, this isn't, it is a call-in show, but we're not taking calls today because I am in the studio by myself. We had talked with our guests last week when they were in Winnipeg at APTN investigating. I just wanted to give a shout out to Lisa commenting on our Facebook Live. She said that she speaks to spirit helpers and gets protection from her mushum. So thanks for your comments there, Lisa. 13 episodes are in store for you already for Season 6. We saw a sneak peek at the first episode. Now check this out. This is episode 2, which is airing tonight, where the crew travels to METEPENAGIAG Heritage Park in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
We can see a collection of buildings, and it's apparent that there's been builds over the years. I don't know what's underneath the surface, but we're going to find out.
I feel like I do get a sense that something is here. As to what those details are, I'm not sure yet. Now, I understand that this building has served many purposes. Do you want to explain some of them?
At one time, it was the laundry and the morgue. Half was laundry, half was morgue. In 1982, George Pierce started the community kitchen to help the men's shelter next door.
Now these tunnels, Lewis, why do they exist? What's their purpose?
These tunnels are all connected through every building downtown that was built in the time period that would have a steam power plant. And you can go anywhere downtown Fredericton and uptown, basically. You can get all the way to the university through these tunnels. There is a story that every once in a while you can see a nurse, Mary, escorting people out and in through a door. Guests at the shelter have seen it. I've never personally seen it. It's not that I don't believe it, but she's there.
Now, the name Mary, where did that come from?
We're not sure. I think that could be just passed on, that somebody might have said Mary, or, you know, I'm assuming there was probably a nurse at one time at the hospital named Mary that worked at the morgue. So we just assume that.
Lewis, what is something you would want to know from the spirits if we got in contact with them?
We just recently had a friend of the kitchen pass away, Bert. And I would just like to know if Bert's doing all right, if that would be possible. Bert was a good guy, and he was a hero. So I would like to know that he's doing all right for all the hard work that he did while he was on this side of it.
Saxon DeCock has been the principal director for the past 6 seasons, and Candy Fox, she's Cree from Piapot First Nation in Saskatchewan. She's directed 6 episodes of season 7, which is now in production, will air beginning next fall. Both of them took the time out during filming an investigation here at APTN headquarters, which will be a whole show in season 7. They sat down with me. Here's what they had to say. Saxon, you've been on, I think, for the last 6 seasons. Is that right? Tons of paranormal shows out there. Why? What sets the other side apart?
That's a really good question. I think what sets the other side apart is just the approach that we have to investigating a location. It's very respectful. We approach it from, there isn't a lot of, there's no real sensationalism. There's no aggressive approach to anything. So we go in, we find a location, we really research it well, and then we try to make contact in the best and most respectful way that we can.
Were you ghost hunting before you were on this show?
No.
Totally new to the ghost hunting business?
Absolutely. and you know, I got to say I wasn't much of a believer in ghosts before I came on the show and was part of the show, and now I've seen things that I can't really explain. So
yeah.
So I'm less of a non-believer. Let me put it that way.
Candy, you joined last year. You're the first Indigenous woman director of The Other Side. You know, this isn't ghosts and spirits aren't your body of work either.
No.
What made you want to come and join the Other Side team?
Well, one of the important things for me is that it's a Saskatchewan-based production, as well as Saxon was saying, is a very respectful way to do something that I guess, you know, it could be considered well known as or done before paranormal investigation, but we do it in a way that is respectful and it is grounded in spirituality, and we start with ceremony and things like that. So I'm a documentary filmmaker. This is a documentary series, so I honestly thought it would be a great learning experience for myself and a way to gain experience in network television, as well to connect with other filmmakers within Saskatchewan.
Yeah. And were you a believer before you got going?
Oh, for sure. I definitely have a connection to my own spiritual beliefs as well. I was raised that way. But I think in a way it changed my viewpoint on the way that I think about spirits. The way, I guess, I did come in with some hesitancies, I guess, and I think those have changed, and my overall respect for the spirit world has changed as well. And
from doing this,
yeah, I think it's as well. I'm still learning. You know what I mean? And I'm still basing my own, I guess, beliefs and what that means for me. Yeah. And it definitely is an exploration. And every day I learn something new, I think. So.
I like this.
Yeah.
I want to know, what is your most memorable, because we're season 6 just began here on APTN. What is your most memorable moment from season 6 that you would want fans of the show to kind of look out for?
METEPENAGIAG was great, but I think the Masonic Temple. We went and
where is that? Which Masonic Temple?
Was
Twillingate? Is that the one?
No, that was in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Okay.
And it was an old Masonic temple, and we got a member of the Masons, an old member of the Masons, to join us for the investigation. And
I think that was season 5.
Was that season 5?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
people will, when this is live, will be people will be like,
they
that was
absolutely
season 5.
will be, totally. And like I said, they're all a blur because we were out on the East Coast a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, METEPENAGIAG was a really good one. We went to the museum out there, and we basically
it's like
were
a heritage park, is it not?
Yeah.
I think so. And then they also have, they keep the artifacts from local, what are they called?
Archaeological digs.
Mounds. Yeah.
They're mounds that they've discovered with a ton of indigenous artifacts in them, and so they have them housed at this museum. And so we did an investigation there. Not only was it a great place to investigate, but it was such a great learning experience, and so much culture there. And we ended up making contact with a little girl that was there, and it was quite a touching investigation. We brought elders in at the very end, and they helped to sort of bring peace to this little girl, and they ended up singing her a lullaby, and it was really quite beautiful. Yeah.
What's your favorite from the past season, or and since you've begun working with the other side? What's your favorite, most memorable moment?
That would be tough. Last year, I directed my first episode, so it was the very first and only one that I did last year. So
which one was that for our fans out there who want to check it out?
That one sticks out. It was in Fredericton, and it was
the Anglican.
It was the Anglican Church.
Yeah.
So that was, conflicting, of course, going into the church, right? And
no doubt.
So that was fun, and it was also a very learning experience for me directing my first episode. So yeah.
And I would think that there's a challenge in that you're not only just the director, but you're there when all of this is happening. It's got to be, has there ever been a moment, I guess, where you're terrified and you're trying to still do your job?
I would say, yeah. There's been a couple of locations for me where all of a sudden, you're with everybody, and then you have to go away, and it's in the middle of the night, and we were in this huge location one time that was really spooky. It was an old hospital, and I found myself walking down this hallway.
Was that in Edmonton?
No, this one was in Picton, Ontario. Yeah, and it was an old hospital. It had a very sort of dark past, and I found myself alone during an investigation in the middle of this hallway, and I got pretty freaked out.
Yeah.
I've been scared a couple of times. Nothing major, because as a director, you're really focusing on what you have to capture and making sure that you get everything.
Yeah.
So you sort of push aside the elements of these spirits are actually there making contact, and you really focus more on the technical.
Yeah.
But occasionally you're sort of shaken out of that, and it can be a little bit freaky.
I know. I just seen an interview with Tom Charles, who of course isn't. He's taking care of his health right now. He had said that he wants to see more done in the north. Is that something that the other side fans can look forward to in upcoming seasons?
I hope so.
That would be amazing, actually.
Yeah, it would be really cool.
Well, what goes into, I'm sure you guys are inundated with, you got to come here and check this out. What goes into the selection process then? I'll ask you, Candy.
I'll leave that to you. I'm not too sure about the selection process yet.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Basically what happens is a couple of researchers we're really given parameters on where we should focus our investigations. So previous seasons we were sort of told, okay, let's focus on the East Coast, let's focus on Ontario or Saskatchewan, Manitoba, BC, Alberta. So depending on where that focus is, then the researchers come in and they say, okay, well here's, they essentially present a whole bunch of different locations. You know, a mandate is to make sure that we have as many Indigenous locations or connections that we can get. We've really sort of honed in on historical places in the last couple of episodes, or a couple of seasons, I should say. And that's always nice because it really brings a rich history and backstory that we can then bring into the episode. And it gives everything context. And yeah. So that's kind of essentially how it works and how we approach it. And from there we narrow it down to 13 because we usually have about 30 that we start off with.
That many, hey?
Yeah.
And that's just what you're presented with is about 30 , right? So
absolutely.
There are many more before that. Is there something that you're really looking for? Is there something you want to do or something you want to go and direct at somewhere you've heard a story that you think would be particularly...
Well, I guess because I joined in the last couple seasons where we've been doing more, I guess, non-Indigenous spaces, I would like to see more and possibly like going up north or going into more Indigenous communities. I think that would be very interesting. It would definitely change the dynamic of the stories that we're going to hear and the connections to the people and the places of those locations, right? And we get to hear more about those people in those areas. So I think that would be fun.
So there you go, Northerners. Everybody who's watching from north of 60, head up the other side. You can find them on Facebook, of course. What episode are you most excited about coming up? I'll ask each of you.
Okay, you go ahead.
Episodes that are coming up?
What are you most excited about? Which episode?
Which episode?
Or shoot, right? Like there's all of season 6 that hasn't aired yet, but you guys are working on season 7. Is there anything in the shoot that you're really excited to go in?
It's funny because it becomes a blur because it's like we're so we've been just shooting. One that sticks out for me that we just shot recently, one that I directed was in Regina at the Sears building. There was definitely some dark presence in the building, and the building is actually well known to house, it used to be Sears, right? It used to be like a bargain center. So a lot of people that I know have grown up going shopping there, going there for discount items, and that's what it's known as.
Yes,
and now
we used
to
to
me,
get school clothes there sometimes because we go visit family in Regina. It's like stop at the Sears discount building and get your school clothes.
Exactly. So now it definitely has changed my perspective on the building. The basement just like totally creeps me out. So I think that one should be interesting and what came up during the investigation. I still have to go through the editing process of that. So like it's I'm gonna see, like how that goes.
Oh,
so
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And what about you, Saxon? What are you most excited about coming up, or that's either the show or a shoot that's coming up?
Yeah. Well, one that's going to be airing at the end of season 6. So this season that's airing right now is episode 13. And it's a really interesting one because it's essentially a look back at a spirit that has been haunting the show or maybe attached to the show since the very beginning, since the very first episode. And it sort of comes up periodically, this spirit. And so in episode 13 of this season, we really address that. And we talk about that and explore the possibilities of how that entity evolved and stayed with the show.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's a very personal episode for Tom as well, and gives some insight as to where he is and what he's doing. And we all care so much about Tom, and so it sheds some light on his situation.
And of course, we can't let you go without talking about you being here in the APTN headquarters. Season 7 is going to have a show about the APTN. Goes on the past InFocus we just had. We talked to 2 staff members who have had experiences here. Two of many over the years. What made you want to come and do this investigation?
That to you.
That's a really good question. It's one that has been on the radar for a while, and as we were talking about earlier, there are so many reports of paranormal activity in this building that it sort of got to the point where we couldn't ignore it anymore, and we had to come and investigate. And just in the research that we've done and talking to individuals that have worked here, the number of stories that I've heard of ghostly activity has been astronomical. Like we don't really hear that many stories from any location. So, you know, just scratching the surface, we've already come across 15 different people that have had experiences here. So
there is one very recently involving a cameraman who, yeah, well, I'll hook you up with him so you can get his version of that story. And I won't spoil it for everybody who's going to watch this on season 7, which is going to be coming up here on APTN. In the meantime, to all of you at home, be sure to watch Season 6 of The Other Side here on APTN. Thanks, Saxon. Thank you, Candy, for joining us.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the ghost hunting. Let the ghost hunting begin.
Exactly.
When we come back from this next break, we will tell you more about the APTN ghost and some of the encounters that have prompted The Other Side to conduct its investigation here. And we have some shocking footage for you as The Other Side investigators encountered something while they were here. That's after the break. And I will leave you with this. Your InFocus co-producer Beverly Andrews shares with us something she saw right here in the newsroom. Take a look.
Upstairs mezzanine, reading a magazine, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving. Work people are up there for various reasons, and I thought nothing of it. But when I looked up, I saw a black, human-shaped cloud seemingly walking towards the wall. Then it just evaporated. I didn't really feel threatened or any fear, so I just went back to my magazine. And I thought to myself, I had just seen the APTN ghost.
Welcome back. For years, the entire 20 years actually of APTN's existence, I should say, there have been stories shared about strange things that happened to people here at APTN headquarters in downtown Winnipeg. Over the Halloween weekend, the Other Side crew investigated the APTN building, and they live streamed a portion of that investigation. You won't get to see that episode until next season, but here's a terrifying sneak peek at Jeff, ERIN, and Alan's investigation here.
Check in with Alan too, actually. What do you make of what's going on?
Well, from past experience, my hint is that maybe you're being baited, but you have to be really careful.
I think I'm on board with you there. Thank you for that insight.
I find it really interesting that it wouldn't answer any other questions besides, you know, the whole scenario behind going to the basement.
That's the only thing it would really talk about. Did you just hear something down there?
Are you wanting to go down, Jeff? What are you feeling?
Have you seen it down there?
No, I have not.
Have you ever been down there, Cheryl?
No.
Never? Do you want to go first, Cheryl?
Sure. I guess I can.
You need to stop trying to touch me. My neck feels really hot.
Where have you felt this before?
Do you see it? What's my neck look like?
There's like right
I know
here, there's
exactly
a red
what
mark.
this is.
Absolutely, there's a red mark. There's a red mark. And it's like straight down. It's like, look at this, look.
Surprise. I know exactly what this is.
No.
You need to stop now, please.
Step away from Jeff. It's not a mirror.
What the hell, there's that much more?
Yeah.
Turn around. I'm not going to turn around.
Are you serious? Did it just say turn around? Are you serious?
Turn around. I'm not turning around.
Poor Jeff gets scratched all the time, it seems. Now joining us is a longtime APTN employee, Vince Proto. He has experienced a few strange occurrences around this building. Welcome, Vince.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, good to see you. So we had APTN staffers Cheryl Chinchilla and Vera Houle on last week. They spoke about some of the occurrences that they have had and that others have shared with them. I wanted you to come on to share with us because you've had several things that have happened in many parts of the building. And, you know, first of all, did you just see the clip that we just showed, or did you watch it live on Facebook, that investigation here? I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I'm a little freaked out because I've been working down there for the last several months because of the COVID restrictions. So I've heard things and I've had the lights shut off on me, but I thought it was coworkers doing that. So who knows?
So I want to get started with some of the things that have happened. Share with us about back when Vancouver, APTN was covering the Vancouver Olympics and something to do with a filing cabinet?
Yeah, well, we were setting up in the studio that you're in. It was a bank at that time. And we were making a studio for the Olympics, and I was setting up my audio room to prepare for the production for the next 40 days. And I was deciding to go look for a filing cabinet or something to put some of the equipment I needed in the room. So I decided to take a little trip down in the basement to see what I could find. And when I got down there, it wasn't really well lit. It was in disarray at that time because it was just sort of underdeveloped. And I literally walked into one of the rooms, and I think I sent you some photos of it said room. And it was almost like I scared something inside that room. It scared the heck out of me. I opened the door, and I felt like a wisp of air, and it just, my heart was pounding. And
you had a sense that you had startled something. You didn't see anything, but you had a sense that. I think we have photos here. Can we see those pictures that Vince took while he was down there?
Yeah, it's the ones that are the room.
Yeah.
I think you can actually see in the pictures, there's actually a couple orbs. I took those photos the day after that had happened. But
here we go.
Yeah, so that's the room that I was walking into. That's in the middle of the room, and then I think the next one shows the corner where I saw or felt something in the room. It was quite bizarre. Yeah, so luckily I did find a filing cabinet, and yeah, you can see that was the area in the room that whatever was there, I had startled. And I think they were just as scared of me as I was of them. And I had no idea what that was. So the next day I was working in the audio room that I had set up, and we had to record all the music in real time. So I'm literally sitting there playing and waiting for the song to end the song and then re-record. And this was going on maybe about 10:30 at night. And all of a sudden I felt a presence walk into the room behind me. And I just assumed it was a security guard. And it was like, you know, a person walking into the room and sort of leaning over your shoulder, looking at what are you doing, you know. And I'm busy working, so I'm not really much into the distractions. And then finally I realized that this presence wasn't disappearing. So I turned around and I looked, and there was nothing there. Yeah. And that's when it freaked me out. And I was like, okay, time to go home for the day. And and the next day I decided to bring my digital camera in, and it's like, I want to, I had that experience in the basement. I had this happen upstairs. Something's going on here. So I literally walked down into the basement, and I think you have those photos as well. And I literally just walked the path from one end of the room to the other. And as I went, I started taking photos. And you'll see, I think in the next image, there's a large orb that appears in the photo. Oh, that's the next photo I guess will be. And that orb actually went along the floor around the room. Like it followed me going in the same direction I was going. And it was very bizarre. And I didn't see nothing on camera when I took the pictures. I literally just aimlessly took the pictures, and it went down this hall. And yeah, it was a very interesting building at that time. Like, I know there was lots of renovations in the past. There was a stairwell that went to nowhere because it had been sealed off for accommodations in the upper floor for other equipment and stuff. And since then, like, it has been fully renovated. We've had elders bless our studios, and we've had many smudging ceremonies in there. And you think things would be calmed down or smoothed down, but I've still had a couple other experiences in the building as well. One was during a training session that we were doing over the weekend, and we were running in and out of your studio there, checking the graphics and then going into the control room and testing this and that. And my coworker was sitting with the trainer at her workstation, and I was walking into the studio, and I saw a shadow across one of the edit suite glass windows that's like on the exterior of the edit suite. Right. And I just assumed it was like the reflection of the security guard doing his walk around the building. And I went into the studio real quick, and then I turned around, and then I realized whatever I was working on didn't work, so I was going back into the control room. Well, when I was walking to the control room, I saw that the security guard was still sitting at his desk, which is like not even close to where it was. And another experience we had was...
We're almost at a time here, Vince. I don't think we have time for another story. I mean, you really could probably write a book about all of the things in the many years that you've been here. I just
seeing the other side story on all that stuff in the basement, I'm getting a little worried now.
Yeah, well, I know, and people need to be sure to tune into that episode. That'll be on season 7 of The Other Side, of course, airs right here on APTN. In the meantime, tonight you can watch an all-new episode of The Other Side season 6. And I will say to you, you will not regret the entire season that is in store for you. I'm assured that it is amazing, and just talking with the directors who were here. Well, we are all out of time. Thank you guys for joining us, and to the Other Side guests, and Vince for sharing his stories. Big thank you to our crew who are in the office every day making this show happen. This show and many others. This episode is available for as a download as a podcast. Don't forget, I'm Melissa Ridgen. I will see you back here next week. Have a great afternoon.